The video? Okay. So I need to get this centered on the bat, and so I'm going to kind of start to kind of eye it with the circles that are on here and try to get it to what I think is centered. Okay. I am then going to take the needle tool and I'm going to ground it on my leg here, and I am going to slow the wheel and I'm going to lightly etch a circle on the top of this. Okay. And I'm doing it more outside instead of right here in the middle because it's easier to see how thick or thin the circle is to the edge of it. So if you look right now, it's thinner on this side and thicker over here. I want it to be like really directly in the middle. Let me see, okay. So thinner on this side, thicker on this side. I'm gonna pull it just a hair towards the thinner side. Just a hair. I'm gonna kind of smooth that out, and I'm gonna go do it again. So this part, I kind of try to do it centered in two parts. I do the top first, I look at it, thinner over here, thicker over here. So I'm gonna push it to where it's thinner, just a little bit at a time. Smooth that over a bit. Do it again. I think that might be okay. Looks pretty, maybe just a hair this way. It looks, but once I feel that there's an even circle around where that little ring around it is even spaced, you guys know what I mean when I'm saying that? Okay. Once I have that, I am then going to take the needle tool and ground it again, and then I'm going to go around the outside of the bowl towards the bottom of the bowl, but right now it's the top. Does that make sense? So I'm not doing it down here. I'm going to do it towards the top, but it's really towards the bottom. Okay, and what I want it to do is I want it to hit evenly all the way around, and I don't want to dig into it, dig in a big gash. I just want to etch lightly. And so you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's hitting this from here to here kind of, and it's not hitting over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it toward a little bit just to where it's not hitting. And then I'm going to do it again. Okay, so the reason why I do it on the top is because it sets me up to do what I'm doing now, just a little bit easier. And you don't want to do a giant gash in there, just a little bit. So it hit all the way around. In this, I could just feel it. You probably can't see. It's just like barely scraping right here. So I'm going to pull it just a little bit towards the way where it's barely scraping. Okay, now that's going to be centered. If you don't have it centered, as you're trimming off this bottom and cleaning it up, everything will be uneven. Kind of like yesterday when I talked about your lip will be thicker on one side and thinner on the other. Same thing on here. If as you're throwing the bowl, if this was thrown off centered, I won't really be able to get it centered now because it will be off centered. So if I'm looking at the bowl, you want it to be symmetrical. Okay, if it's not centered, it's going to kind of be like this. One side will be in a little bit and the other side will be out. So to try to hit it evenly around here, it won't work. Okay, I'm going to take this clay, I'm going to put my hand on top, and I'm going to use this clay to stick this in place so that it doesn't slide off the bat when I'm trimming it. Okay, so that's why it's important for this to be leather hard, because if this was wet, I'd be caving it in right here. And it might happen sometimes that you do cave it in a little bit. You don't want to, but if it happens, it's not like the end of the world. So I just use this here so it stays in place, does not fly off the bat. All right, now what I want to do is I want to clean this little kind of lip tabletop part. I always call it a table. I want to clean that off. So I'm going to take this. I like to make sure it's kind of clean. It doesn't have any crumbs in there, because sometimes if there's crumbs in there, it will make weird lines as it's going around. I kind of rest my hand on top just because it makes me feel a little bit more secure. I'm just maybe applying a little bit of pressure. It just feels weird and dangerous, like it's going to fly off if I don't touch it. So I'm first going to clean off this part. So my shoulder or elbow's locked on my knee so that it doesn't move and it's grounded. And I'm just cleaning this part off. I want it to be even. And you'll see I'm kind of starting at the top, but I'm also kind of coming down the bowl a little bit because I want to clean this top part and a little bit down here as well. You can go far down if you really want to. I usually don't. I usually just clean this part. So I want that to be smooth. I'm kind of going down a little bit now. Take this clay that's kicking up on here off. All right. So this is gonna kind of depend on what you want it to look like. Do you want a really round bowl on the bottom? If you do, I can apply more pressure going this direction and make this part, do you want me to call it the top or the bottom? Because right now it's the top, but it's the bottom of the bowl. I'll call it the bottom, is that okay? Do I want that bottom of the bowl to be really rounded? Okay, or do I like the shape just kind of coming down right now? So if I want to make it more rounded, I'm going to apply more pressure towards the bottom. And you can see it kind of going in and getting more round. Just bringing it down here, try to get those swirls out. I actually like this shape, so I don't want to keep making it rounder. But what I'm looking for, and I'm not done, but I have it pretty smooth around this outside. As you can see when I was starting to do it, it was starting to look kind of uneven and not clean. You want to make it look clean, okay? So don't just stop because you've cleared away that table part. Stop when it looks nice and clean, okay? The rib tool, sometimes I'll take it, and it should be cleaner, and I'll kind of hold it out here. That can smooth it out a little bit. You can kind of see how it makes it just look a little bit nicer and smoother. You can do that. Now I'm going to create the foot part, the part that it's going to rest on. So right now I've cleaned off the bottom, and now I will make a foot. So I should have showed you before. I'm going to take this narrow part, and I'm going to hold it out here. Not all the way out to the edge, but I'm holding it just a little bit outside. I'm just going to make my mark. Pushing down a little bit. Another thing, you don't want to trim a hole in the bottom. So you want to kind of be mindful, is my bottom really thin or what? And if you want to, stop the wheel and lightly push in to make sure if it's starting to give, you're probably getting really close to cutting through, okay? So I've made this mark, and what I want to do now is I want to take out this little button looking part, okay? So I'm going to hold this flat, and I'm going to start from the middle of this little button that I've made and kind of go out. So the foot is giving it a place to rest on. I kind of hold it flat right there and clean it. So there's different kinds of feet. I could do a raised foot where I push this down so it has like a bowl and then a ledge of where the foot is. Maybe I'll show you guys how to do that, I guess. Let me just clean this up just a little bit more. Alright. So this is one way of doing a foot, and then it's kind of kicking up a little bit of crumbs, so I'm just gonna smooth all that out. Could use the rib tool, smooth it out if I want to, or my fingers even. Sometimes a sponge. You don't really want to add water though when you're trimming. So this is what I'm looking for. I'm going to show you how to do like the raised foot. You could do that as well, but I'm looking for a foot on both of your bowls for your first project, okay? So I'm going to just kind of hold it out here to the edge, and I'm just going to kind of push straight down. And so you can see how it raised that foot. It kind of made a sharp edge right here, so I'm going to go ahead and round that part out. And then it kicked up some clay crumbs up here, so I'm going to take those off. Kind of clean it up a little bit. Now, everybody will have their own kind of different style on the wheel, but for the most part, things are going to look really similar, okay? Throwing on the wheel has just a different style to it. It looks a lot cleaner than hand building usually. I mean, some people are really good at hand building. But, so I want everybody to always put your initials on the bottom, because I promise you, people will go, I don't know if this is mine. I think this is mine. Is this mine? They'll ask me, and I have a lot of people doing stuff, so I don't usually remember. So put it wherever you want. I used to kind of put it in the middle here. Lately I've been putting it on where it rests. And then you can be done. And then I would let it dry upside down so that it doesn't crack.